What's up, beautiful ladies and handsome men? I am not sure what's true or false in this story. I take gossip, tea, rumor, and scandal from yesteryear, from online, from word of mouth, from books, and I ball it up and I tell you guys a story. Okay, everybody, if you've been following my lives and my community post and you saw the problem that I was kind of upset about, I just want to make it clear that that problem I was having with the editing, this is not that same problem. That sucker had to get cut out. All right, let's go. One thing about it, on the days that I look like this, Bright Cellars is always here to save the day. Bright Cellars is a monthly wine subscription that delivers the wine right to your door. But they don't just send you any wine, honey. You gotta go to their website and take a 7-question quiz so they can send you like a personalized wine. You know what I'm saying? You gotta tell them your taste. They wanna get it right. Baby, these kids been running me through the washer today. Let's hurry up and see what Bright Cellars done sent. Folk fable? What? Child. Excuse me. That was folk and fable. Look at them telling me what I can pair this with. Slow cooker beef stew, baby. That's the one. It's Albatron. They say it's got a cherry raspberry type flavor. 13% alcohol, get me just right. Life in the Woods, the rosé of Pinot Noir. All right, Life in the Woods, don't play with me. Talking about you got a lemon and strawberry flavor. I've been a drunk you all the way up today. Honey, I sure hope it make me feel like I'm sitting in the woods too, child. These kids have really ran me today. Thank you, Bright Cellars, for giving my followers a limited time offer of 50% off of their first 6-bottle box. Click the link in the description to get started. Whoa! There's something on my mind. Won't somebody please tell me what's wrong?
You're just a fool, you know you're in love.
What you say? Tell me one more time.
You know you love him, you can't understand.
Tell me about
he treats you like he do when he's such a good man.
Ike, honey, you seen what that girl had that mess on?
Oh, yeah, I seen that mess.
Now, she no better than sit up there and dress like that. I mean, look, a mess.
All right, now, Tina, it's time to get started.
You ain't said nothing but a word. That's fine. We can do it.
Oh, yeah, don't forget that new Ikeette's coming.
So you got another Ike. You had to have another girl.
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready. Left a good job.
Down in the city.
Working for the man every night and day. And I never
Hold on. Why are you singing like that? Sing the song right.
I'm singing it like I always sing it.
We were just laughing and having a good time. What's wrong with you?
Ain't nothing wrong with me. I told you I'm singing the song right. No, you didn't just hit me. Don't you ever hit me. Hi everybody, this is Ashley with Ashley Says So, and I am back with another Old Hollywood Scandals video, and today we are going to talk about one of the originators, if not the originator, of rock and roll, Mr. Ike Turner. Now, I've already done a Tina Turner scandal video very early on, and since then I've talked to many more people. So even if you compare the videos, some of the rumors may not match exactly. And I need to say something else. Although this is an Ike Turner scandal video, for him to have been this monster of a man, you'd be surprised that Ike really ain't got too much more gossip outside of Tina. In fact, this video is mostly about delving into their relationship. But anyways, enough talking. You guys have waited long enough. Let's go ahead and get to the video. Isaiah Luster Turner Jr. was born on November the 5th, 1931 in Clarksdale, Mississippi. His mother's name was Beatrice Cushenberry, and she was a seamstress, and his father's name was Isaiah Luster Turner, and he was a Baptist pastor. Along with Ike, the couple also had a daughter, and this daughter was actually about 10 years older than Ike, and her name was Lee Ethel. Now look, I done told y'all that Ike's daddy was a pastor, but child, I don't know what kind of pastor this man was, because he sure didn't mind sleeping with the women of the village. And one day that mess caught up to him because he was sitting out here doing too much. Baby, he was messing with some woman, I don't know what her name, but honey, she was a loose booty baby, because the folks say that almost every man in town was getting some. One of the men that was hitting her tail was a man named Bird Doggin, and this guy was a big old country redneck white guy. And child, that woman had put some black TT magic or voodoo or something on Bird Doggin, honey, because listen at this. So Isaiah, Ike's daddy, ended up having an argument with this woman, and in the end, he told her that he did not want to mess with her anymore. Baby, how about when Bird Bird Doggin comes over to her house later on. He finds her crying off in the corner. Well, that Ike Turner, he have really hurt my feelings. He called me all kind of names and then he don't want to mess with me no more. Baby Bird Doggin swelled up in the chest, honey. He said ain't nobody finna talk to his brown sugar that way. Next thing you know, Bird Doggin comes stumping out of the house, honey. He went and rounded up all of his redneck friends and they all pulled up at Ike Turner's house. They outside just a-hollering, Ike Turner, you get your N-word self out here, boy. Baby Bird Doggin and all his homeboys went up to that door and kapow! Kick the dough in, honey. Ike in there talking about something. Now, I don't want no trouble. I don't want no trouble. Baby, them folks grabbed him by his feet while he was talking and took him out to that doggone truck. Then they drove him to some swamp or somewhere, child. Baby, they bust that man all upside his doggone head. And not only did they bust him upside the head, child, they was busting him up in the stomach, child. The folks say that they was kicking that man in the stomach so hard and so many times that it actually made holes inside of Ike's stomach. After they were done doing their dirty work, they dropped Ike back off at home, and Ike's mama tries to take him to the local hospital, but they do not take black patients. The next place she goes is the city's health department. The most that they can do is basically kind of clean Ike's wounds and then kind of put him in a quarantine so he can just lay there and convalesce. Lay there and get well. They end up building like a 12-foot tent or something like that in the backyard, and then basically they just leave him there. You know, I guess he got to heal by himself. So every day little Ike is seeing his father in this horrible state. Not only is he seeing his father, he is hearing his father's moan. He's also smelling his father. Do you know why? Because his father is not healing. In fact, his father is rotting. And gossip on the street says that you can smell that rot from a block away. There are some fond memories that it's claimed that Ike had. He said while his daddy was healing, sometimes his daddy would tell him, come over in the tent, boy, and bring a book. And so Ike would, and his father would read to him as well as teach him how to read. Unfortunately, Ike's father died about 2 to 3 years after the beating took place, and I think he died possibly in the year of 1936. I do know that whenever he died, Ike was only around 5 or 6 years old. After Ike's father died, there was only him and his mother for a long while, and Ike loved his mother and his mother loved him. She taught him just about everything he knew, especially money, honey. Everybody knows that Ike Turner was great at money. Well, not saving money or anything like that. He was great at making money. Well, he got this from his mother. He would do anything to try to make his money. He would chop wood. He would deliver newspapers. Just anything. Ooh, child. And then listen to this because it's something else his little behind was doing too. Baby, why come somebody is out here talking about when Ike was little, around 4, 5, 6 or whatever, he was at the bus stop walking up to folks talking about, hello, how you doing today? I'm sure hungry. And then the people would try to talk to him and ask him, you know, little boy, where's your mama at? And here go Ike. I can't hear. I can't hear. And so the folks are like, oh no, oh my gosh, he's deaf. Honey, give him some change. Babe, as soon as Ike had that change in his hand, his little scooped up head went skipping down the thing, laughing at them doggone folks because he had gypped them out of their money. Child, they said them folks be standing on the corner talking about some, why I oughta. Now, as far as Ike's musical talents, he is definitely not one of these people like everybody else on the videos I do. He wasn't one of these people that was, oh, he was singing and playing piano at 2 years old. No, none of that was Ike. He wasn't even interested in music. And then one day when he was around 8 years old, he ended up walking by a friend's house and hearing a man named Pinetop Perkins playing piano. And something about the way that this man was playing piano made Ike Turner stop in his track. It was just different. It had a whole bunch of jive in there. You know what I'm saying? It was not classical piano, and Ike had heard ragtime. Well, this was not ragtime either. And this is something that made you want to groove, baby. And so over time, Ike found out that this music was called Boogie Woogie. After a few weeks of this, Ike finally ran home and told his mama that he wanted to be a piano man. So she ended up signing him up for music lessons. And she would give Ike his little money to go for his lessons and pay the piano lady. Well, child, Ike would never show up. He would take that doggone money and go to a little gambling spot, gamble the money away, go and sit and watch Pinetop play, and then come home to his mama talking about, look, mama, look what the piano lady showed me today. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do. And not only did Ike learn how to play the piano, he also learned how to tune pianos and to fix and tune other instruments. After a while, they said Ike was about 9 years old making a lot of money, baby. I'm talking about a killing by just fixing and tuning instruments. And then by the time he hit junior high, he got around a lot of other guys who wanted to sing and make a group. So he did make a group, and this group was called the Top Hatters. And the Top Hatters were dang on good. They played several house parties and a whole bunch of dances, but soon a problem arose. Some of the members wanted to play jazz. They liked people like Louis Jordan and Chick Webb, whereas the other side of boys wanted to play boogie woogie music as well as blues music. Well, Ike was on the side of the boys who liked the boogie woogie and blues music. So soon this group, the Top Hatters, did split right down the middle. The boys that liked the jazz and swing music, they called themselves the Dukes of Swing, and the one for the boogie woogie and blues, the one that Ike was a part of, they called themselves the Kings of Rhythm. And there are a lot more details of music in Ike's early years, but we got a lot to cover, y'all, so I'm going to speed this thing up. So by March of 1951, Ike and the Kings of Rhythm have been playing for a while, and they are really coming into themselves, and they end up recording a song called Rocket 88.
You women have heard of jalopy, heard the noise that they make. Now let me introduce my Rocket 88. Yes, it's great.
And yes, it was great indeed. Nobody had ever heard anything so hip, full of so much rhythm and blues, baby. It was absolutely hot stuff. It got all the way to number 2 on the Billboard chart. And the reason that this song did so well is because it's claimed that this song was the first song of rock and roll. The last song with even a smidgen of that type of rhythm was what? It don't mean a thing if you ain't got that swing. That is worlds apart from Rocket 88. So of course people like mine just blew out of their head. Now a lot of people think that it was Ike that led Rocket 88 or was the lead singer, but it was not. The lead singer on that particular song was the sax player, Jackie Brinston. And at first the success of Rocket 88 was a joyous thing. But then Ike found out that the record was released under the name Jackie Brinston and his Delta Cats, and then they ran into problems, especially between Ike and Jackie Brinston, because Ike felt like you had to know that they were gonna put your name and like this was your group. Like, who is the Delta Cats? At first, Jackie Brinston was like, hey man, no, like I didn't have no dealings with that, you know, that's the music business. Like at first she was really trying to explain things, but then after a while, the success of being the lead singer went to his head, and so he started treating Ike like, you know, man, maybe it should be like this. Maybe I should be the leader of the group. I'm the one selling the records. They coming to see me. Ike just left it where it was and went on about his way. Sooner or later, he ended up in St. Louis with a new, improved Kings of Rhythm. And Ike Turner and his Kings of Rhythm were rocking St. Louis, baby. They could really put on a show, and then Ike by this time knew how to play the piano as well as the guitar. So on the times he was playing the guitar, he would do backflips with the guitar in his hand. And baby, they say on some nights you can even spot the famous Jerldean Jones and Pearl dancing in the audience. Anybody who catches that Easter egg, Jerldean Jones and Pearl, I'm gonna be very, very proud of y'all. Let me know in the comments if you caught the Easter egg. But anyways, by 1957, Ike was pretty much famous on the show circuit. And he didn't know it yet, but at some of his latest shows, there was a young girl in the audience who had been following him around faithfully. And her name was Anna Mae Bullock. Over time, Ike found out that this little Anna Mae Bullock could really sing, so she became a part of his group. And the first song that she recorded with him, named Box Top, really didn't make any noise, but the next song they recorded together was a firecracker, honey. And that song was called A Fool in Love. It was released July 1960, and it became a national hit, a $1 million selling song. Ike Turner had finally got a song with some staying power, and so Ike Turner had officially made it. And now, baby, y'all know what time it is. It is time to get to the hot, scandalous, messy tea. The scandal, child. The scandal. Let's get to it. Now, baby, come on in close and listen to this, because the scandal with Ike Turner starts very early in his life, honey. And the first rumor that most people remember is the rumor about Miss Boozy. And Miss Boozy was a woman around 45, 50 years old who lived down the street from Ike. And every single morning before school, Ike would go to her house to help her feed the chicken. Now, around this time, Ike was only around 6 years old, and he was doing what pretty much all little boys did back at that time. If there was a woman that was older, especially if she didn't have a man around, the boys would go and maybe help the woman chop wood or whatever it was, just help her do chores. Well, one day Ike goes to help Miss Boozy and he's feeding the chickens, and Miss Boozy is just sitting up there staring at him, seeming like she's waiting on something. And sooner or later, a little bit of mud or dirt splashes up on his pants. Well, as soon as it happens, Miss Boozy is like, "Oh no, Ike, you got something on your pants. Come on in the house. Let me help you get washed up, because I'm not about to be sending you to school looking no mess now." He follows her in the house, and when they get inside of the house, Miss Boozy, who has on a nightgown, starts to take her nightgown off. She's like, "Oh, but before I wash you up, son, I'm gonna wash myself up first, because I'm just not feeling so fresh." And she is washing herself up and doing this in front of Ike. After she finished washing herself, she proceeded to walk over to Ike and to pull his pants off. Well, she does wash the pants, but when she's done, instead of putting them back on Ike, she started rubbing him in his private area. Then her big old stinking nasty tail took that baby by the hand and led him to the bedroom. Proceeds to sit on the bed, pull Ike close to her, and then lay back on the bed and pretty much takes him and inserts him. And once she's done that, she starts telling Ike, "Hey son, go ahead and move your hips back and forth, making this little boy have intercourse with her. Well, once she's done sexually assaulting him and she gets what she needs out of it, she stops him and she puts back on his clothes and she tells him, "If you tell somebody about this, I'm gonna make sure that your mama whoop your tail, because I'm gonna tell her you was over here being nasty." Whereas a child today might feel like they were assaulted or, their innocence was taken, a child back then, especially a young black male back then, with the environment they were around and people telling him, "That's how you know you got some hair on your chest, man. That's how you know you a man." With this kind of atmosphere that he was growing up in, he didn't tell nobody because he was glad that this happened with Miss Boozy. He felt like he was a little man at 6 years old. And so since Ike never said anything, this happened to him every single morning before school. And that is sad as all get out, but let me tell you, honey, it was a scandalous thing, child. Because apparently some kind of word had got around, and by the time Ike was around 9 or 10 years old, there was another lady on the street sitting up there asking Ike to come to her house. Her name was Miss Renee, and Miss Renee started telling Ike, "Come on over to my house, son. I got some wood for you to chop." Well, anyways, one of those days he went to chop wood at her house. After he was done, she was like, "Come on in. Let me get my money so I can pay you. I'm gonna give you a nickel, and you get a cool drink of water." So when she gets in the house, she has on a nightgown. Also, it's claimed that this woman had a real big booty, like a rotund butt. Well, she would bend over, I guess she was looking for the nickel or something like that. Whatever the case, she bent over in front of Ike's face and she made sure that he could see her private area. And I'm not talking about the back private area. I'm talking about the front private area. You know how you can see through the leg? And then suddenly she whipped back and kind of looked and caught Ike looking. And when she did, she turned around and was like, "Was you looking at me? Ike Turner, you just a naughty, naughty little boy. Here go your nickel." Ike reaches in to take the nickel, but when he does, Miss Renee grabs him by the arm and then pretty much from then on started to assault him on the floor. And it seems like these 2 episodes had a horrible effect on Ike Turner, because after he had done this with these grown women, he started messing with almost every girl in the neighborhood who would let him. Baby, they said it was one time when Ike was having intercourse with one of the little girls in the neighborhood, his stepdaddy called him child. Baby, they say his stepdaddy yanked that boy up and started beating him with all kind of barbed wire. And speaking of his stepdaddy, there was also some issues there. There's this one tale of a story. His stepfather had got home from work and Ike had built some kind of homemade chimney in the yard. Well, his stepdaddy got upset about Ike doing this and he beat the devil out of Ike. Later on that same day, when his stepdad was leaned over looking at something, Ike came out of nowhere with a 2x4 and laid that man out. Baby, I'm talking about knocked him out cold. So cold that Ike thought he had killed this man. Honey, the next time anybody saw Ike, he was on his bicycle on the highway holding on to the back of a diesel truck trying to get out of town. Them folks on the highway was just riding by looking at Ike. Ike was holding on to the back of the truck on that bicycle looking at them, and then he rode the back of all these trucks until he got to the city of Memphis. And when he got to Memphis, after he had been there for maybe about a week, he decided to go back home to Clarksdale. Now, I told you guys about Ike walking by his friend's house and hearing Pine Top play the piano. Well, that friend was a guy named Ernest Lane. Ike Turner and Ernest Lane were pure scoundrels, honey. Baby, them boys were so hoish they slept with every loose booty girl in town twice. In fact, the two boys had their own separate girlfriends. They talked each other into swapping girlfriends. They would sleep with each other's girlfriends. And Ike is still around 11, 12 years old at this time. With Ike being so young, even though he was having sex all over the place, he was not ejaculating just yet. Then one day there was this girl that Ernest Lane as well as Ike liked, and her name was Julia May. Ernest Lane and Ike ended up at Julia May's house when her parents were not home. And then Julia May was rubbing up all on them, you know what I'm saying, making sure her skirt went up her thigh. It pretty much just let the boys know that, hey, you know, she down for action. But the girl would not let them do anything at the same time. So they decided to play a game. And the game was getting 2 cups of ice water, and whoever drank their ice water down the fastest, they would win. Ike sat up there and gulped that ice water down so fast, Ernest Lane didn't even get a chance to start sipping, honey. So Ike takes Julia May to the bedroom and he proceeds to have intercourse with her. All of a sudden, his shoulders go up high. He gets all kind of chills going down his back. His head starts tingling and can't control himself, having convulsions pretty much. And so Ike is just sitting there like, Ike has had his first orgasm. Baby, they say Ike ran out that doggone house so fast, talking about, Ernest Lane, man, go drink you some more water, buddy. Make sure it's got the ice in it too. Matter of fact, fill that mother sucker up with ice. Boy, I tell you the truth, I ain't never gonna do it with no girl again without drinking me a whole bunch of ice water first. Ike was mistaken into thinking it was the ice water that made him have that great feeling and orgasm. Then listen to this little rumor, honey. Ernest's daddy had the best looking big booty woman in town, honey. Gossip claims this lady's name was Dolores. Ike and Ernest Lane is just looking like, man, she's so fine. And then Ernest Lane is like, man, I sure would like a piece of her, but that's my daddy girl. Ike is like, you know, maybe she'll still do something with us. Let's try it. They end up going to Dolores's room, and it was a room because I think she lived in like a rooming house or something like that. They go to Dolores's room and they knock on the door. They find out that yes, she is that type of woman. So they proceed to having a threesome. All of a sudden it's do at the door. Baby, Ike frees up in mid-stroke, honey. Booty hole got tight and everything. He just nervous, sweating bullets. It is Ernest Lane's daddy. He's out there like, you know, Dolores, open up this doggone door. Ernest's daddy just kind of like bust down the door and was like, you know, who in here? Child, he walked up in that doggone room. That room was as empty as Amber Heard's future bank account, child. Ike and Ernest Lane had actually jumped out of the window and took off running. Child, them boys had got go so good that by the time Ernest Lane's daddy got to the house, they was washed up and in the bed sleep, honey. Now, honey, let's jump into some of this St. Louis type tea. And the first thing is this. A lot of folks don't know that Ike was actually married when he first came to St. Louis to a girl named Annie Mae Wilson. Ike had actually been married about 4 or 5 times before he even married Anna Mae. Now, he and Anna Mae did not work out because when he came to St. Louis, he started getting more popular and cheating on her all the time. So she left him to get with a police officer. And this police officer gave Ike hell. One time, he pulled Ike over, made Ike get out of the car. Ike was like, yes, sir. What's going on? Bop! That man took that baton and bust Ike all upside his head. The gossip on the street says that around this time, Ike was constantly surrounded by violence because he was constantly messing with somebody's woman. After he and the Kings of Rhythm played at the club, they would bring home groupies and stuff like that. And these groupies' husbands and boyfriends used to ride by his house and shoot his house up. But don't get it twisted, honey, because the folks say that Ike and his band were definitely not no punk. One time, a man's wife was in Ike's house and this man had pulled up in front of the house talking about some, yeah, y'all know what's going on. It's over with now. Started busting pop, pop, pop at the house and then tried to speed off. Baby, why come that man's car stopped right in the middle of the street? Ike and his band went and swarmed that doggone car. Pulled that man out of the front seat and beat that man to a pulp. Now, baby, the folks say that when Anna Mae Bullock walked in the Manhattan Club and saw Ike playing for the first time, she wanted him right Then they said all this new stuff that Tina been saying, talking about I really thought Ike was ugly. I was not attracted to him. Baby, they said that woman is a bald-faced lie. She wanted him. She wanted him to be her man. And most of all, she wanted to sing with him. And they say that Tina's sister Eileen worked at the Manhattan Club as a bartender. And Eileen was dating a guy named Eugene. And Eugene actually played drums for the Kings of Rhythm. Tina used to beg Eileen and Eugene all the time. Hey, please tell Ike I said hey. Tell him I want to sing for his band. And the folks say that Eileen and Eugene did tell Ike this, but Ike was not interested in Anna Mae Bullock at all. And he certainly was not interested in her singing. So what he would do is tell Eileen and Eugene, yeah, you know, next time I sing, I call her up to the stage. If these folks don't get out of my face, you know, he had that going on. In the meantime, since Tina could not get Ike, she ended up talking to a guy in his band. This man's name was Raymond, but the band called him Spider. Now, the folks say that Tina did indeed have some feelings for Raymond, but regardless of if she did or not, every time she saw Ike, she was up in Ike's face. Like if Raymond invited her back to Ike's house where the whole band used to hang out, Tina would find a way to be face to face with Ike. She'd be trying to talk to him, you know, laughing at his jokes, just always in his face. And Ike would carry on a conversation with her and things like that, but it would be nothing more than that. And so while Tina is dating Raymond, Ike was just, you know, living his own life. Tina was not a thought in his head. But one night at the Manhattan Club, when the club was about to close, Ike was like cleaning up the equipment or putting stuff up or something like that. And Tina, who was still there because she was always there, grabbed a mic that was still plugged up and she started to sing. And no, if you're wondering, she was not singing I know you love me baby, but you never tell me so. But whatever song she was singing sounded very good. It's claimed that Ike looked up and was like, oh my goodness, Eileen, your little sister can sing. Lil' Ann, you sound good. And this was the start of Ike even really noticing Tina or Anna Mae. It had to do with music. And so after this, she and Ike definitely did have more stuff to talk about. They found out that they both wanted to make it in the music industry. But this is just all it was. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're with your boyfriend or your girlfriend and they got a homeboy or a homegirl and you're cool with their homeboy or homegirl. That's how this was going with Tina and Ike. It was not anything deep at this moment. Well, it went on like this for about the next 4 years. While Tina was still dating Spider, Ike was still living his life. And then in the third year of those 4 years, Tina ended up getting pregnant by Spider. She got put out of her mama's house, and then Spider ended up leaving her behind and going back to Mississippi. So Tina was kind of just by herself with her baby. Now the folks on the streets say that Ike ended up feeling sorry for Tina, and he also felt responsible in some type of way because he was kind of like, you know, God dang, somebody in my band then took this little girl and then got her pregnant and left her by herself, you know. So Ike started giving money to Tina for her young baby Craig. Well, sooner or later, Ike finds out that Tina and Craig are actually not doing well at all. In fact, they are living in a garage. And this is when Ike is like, you know, oh man, like, you know, Lil' Ann, this can't work. You know what I'm saying? If you don't have anywhere to go, you can come and live at the house with me and Lorraine. And so that's when Tina moves in. Now, once Tina moves in, she and Ike are spending much more time together. And so now they are getting very, very close. Extremely close. In fact, they turned into best friends. He's talking to Tina all the time. They're staying up late at night. You know what I'm saying? Talking about their dreams. They're talking about their music. She is doing pretty much whatever he asks. If he tells her, hey, Lil' Ann, go show up at the band practice early for me and make sure everybody get there on time. Hey, Lil' Ann, go run this across town for me. Hey, Lil' Ann, come here. Hey, you see that girl over there with the big fat booty? Well, she fine, ain't she? Hey, Ann, go talk to her for me. Tell her I want her. They are friends. Nothing more, nothing less. Now, Tina would love to be more than friends. She wants that more than anything in this world. She is in love with Ike. She wants to be his woman, but Ike just does not see her like that. As a matter of fact, that is the basis of the problem with their relationship for the rest of the time. Ike was never truly attracted to Tina Turner or or Little Anime, whatever you want to call her, he was never truly attracted to her in that way. He just did not look at her like that. And so, like I said before, Tina is Ike's homegirl, pretty much his homeboy. You know what I'm saying? He's talking to her about the women he having sex with. You know what I'm saying? They laughing about him cheating on Lorraine. You know, he's telling her, you know, make sure you lie to Lorraine for me. You know, did you get that girl for me? All this kind of stuff. Like, that's their dynamic. And when Ike sees that Tina is doing whatever he asks, and also when he sees things like, you know, her knowing about him cheating and doing this, but Lorraine is never finding out. She's not telling Lorraine, you know, she's keeping their secrets in between them. When he sees this, he figures that Tina is very loyal. And so Ike starts to reward this loyal behavior because he is just happy that he has a really loyal best friend. So gossip on the street says that one of the things he starts to do was let her get on stage and sing with him at the Manhattan Club. Also, he starts to give her money and he starts to buy her things. If he buys Lorraine a dress, he buys Tina a dress. If he buys Lorraine a necklace, he buys Tina a necklace. And of course, Lorraine will be over here fuming mad. She would be over here seriously jealous and feeling disrespected and everything. But Ike would always be like, you know, this is just my friend. You know, it ain't nothing like that with me and Tina. And Tina also did not care that Lorraine was feeling this way. So it's late 1950s, possibly even 1959, and Tina and Ike are cool. So one night they end up going to the club together like they always do. And Ike decides that he wants to drink. And this is a pretty big deal because at this point in time, Ike Turner was not a drinker. He also did no drugs. He was a total teetotaler. He didn't do any of that. In fact, at this point in time, if you were in Ike's band and you smoked weed, cocaine, heroin, whatever, any type of drug, no matter how small, he would fire you on spot. So, like I said, he didn't drink either. Well, on this particular night, he decided to try to drink something. And the folks on the street said that he was drinking a very cheap liquor too, honey. So probably after about 5-6 sips, Ike Turner is totally gone. He is wasted. Not only that, he is very sick. So when he and Tina gets in the car to go home, she is kind of like nursing him and kind of like rubbing his head and pushing his hair back, you know, and she like, boy, why did you drink that cheap liquor? What's wrong with you? You know better than that. When they get to the house, instead of Tina leading him to Lorraine's bed, she leads Ike to her bed, lays him down on the bed, and then she's like, you know, ooh, Ike, you just look so bad. I know what to do. I'm gonna go fix some straight black coffee and make it strong, and that's gonna help you feel better. I'll be right back. Well, on the way to fix the coffee, Miss Thing goes to the bathroom and changes. And when she walks back in the room, Ike, I got your coffee. Ike opens up his eyes to look, and baby, his eyes about pop out of his head because Tina is in there with a sheer see-through lingerie teddy dress on. And if you guys don't really know what a teddy dress is, it's that nightwear that women used to wear like in the 60s. Those short little dresses kind of had frills at the bottom sometimes, and then it was see-through, and then Heifer ain't had on no panties. Baby, they said Tina just to come over there prancing over there to that bed. Said she took Ike's head and laid it on her lap and kind of like fed him the coffee. Now, baby, listen. Ike might have not been attracted to Tina in that way, but he also was not a gay man. His head is laid in a lap with a naked TT right beside his face. So, of course, Ike gets in the mood, and so soon he and Tina starts wrestling. You know, they play wrestling, and she all on the bed just kicking up her doggone legs. Ike, boy, stop, you, it's funny, you tickling me. TT just all in the air, and soon all of those boy stops turn into boy don't stop, because yes, Ike is going to Pound Town on Little Ann. Well, word on the street is that Ike was upset that he had actually given in and slept with Tina because he didn't want her to think that it was going to be anything, because he just didn't like her like that. But unfortunately, this was not just going to go away because, see, per gossip, Tina ended up getting pregnant after that first time. And baby, the folks say it was a hot, scandalous mess, honey, because it's claimed that Ike was trying his best to like hide the whole situation from Lorraine, especially when he found out that Tina was pregnant or Anna Mae was pregnant. He was trying his best to hide it from Lorraine, whereas they say that Anna Mae was running around, you know, ooh, I just don't feel good. You know, my stomach feel funny. I've just been throwing up. I'm having all these cravings. What is going on with my body? And so, of course, after a while, Lorraine is like, and she ends up going up to Ike, and she's like, Ike, did you get Anna Mae pregnant? Is that your baby? And Ike is like, you know, pregnant? Little Ann pregnant? I don't know. And it's claimed that Lorraine didn't truly believe him, but this put her mind at ease for the moment. That is, until Tina actually started showing. That's when Lorraine knew in her heart of hearts that that was Ike's baby. And so Lorraine is just kind of like going crazy with all of this pain. This man has moved a woman into their house and he has gotten her pregnant pretty much right up under Lorraine's nose. And actually, some folks say that this was Lorraine and Ike's house. Some people say it was just Ike's house. I don't know which one is true, just telling you the way it was told to me. All I do know is that it's a bunch of mess under one roof, and pretty soon the lid was going to have to blow, and that's exactly what happened. Now, baby, the folks said it was around 2 in the morning, and the whole house was quiet except for Ike downstairs working on his music. Little Anna Mae was in her room in the bed, and Lorraine was in her and Ike's room just thinking, just going crazy in the head, thinking so much that she ends up going to the drawer and pulling out a .38. She yanked the gun out the drawer and held it up like this and started stomping, walking to Tina's room. Soon as she get to the door, "Kaplaya! Wake up! Wake your A up right now. Are you effing my man? Are you effing my man, baby? I will blow your brains out right now." Baby said that little Anna Mae Bullock didn't bat an eye, sat up in that doggone bed, crossed her arms just like this and said, "Well, heifer, if that's what you feel like you gotta do, then I suggest you do it." Waited for a moment, and then after a while got up, rolling her eyes like this, walked to the door and pushed past Lorraine and went down the hallway talking about, Ike, come up here. Lorraine got a gun. She threatening to shoot folks. Ike, get up here right now. Baby said that Lorraine was humiliated, honey, because for one, her bluff was called, and then for two, this woman pretty much was like, "Yeah, I'm sleeping with your man. What you gonna do about it?" And so Lorraine ends up running in the bathroom and she locks the door, and Ike is just banging on the door. Lorraine, open this doggone door up. Give me that gun, Lorraine, don't do this. And then suddenly he hears a gunshot. Lorraine has shot herself in the side right here, and the folks told me that the bullet punctured both of her lungs as well as piercing her heart, but Lorraine ends up surviving this incident.
Pause. Now, honey, you know it was some messy stuff with this too. Why come folks said that after Lorraine shot herself and she got to the hospital, she was in the hospital telling us "No, Ike, please don't shoot. Ike, stop." Now, some folks said it was because Ike was the one that shot Lorraine. Like, that's what truly happened. And then some other folks said that Lorraine was sitting up there trying to be messy, child, trying to get Ike locked up for attempted murder, baby. And then another group of people said that Lorraine was saying this, but that she was just delusional. Like, she wasn't trying to be messy or anything like that. Like, she was just delusional because she was losing a lot of blood. So, honey, I don't know what y'all think.
Now, here goes the scandalous messy tea, honey, because the gossip on the street says that while Tina was pregnant, Ike had another woman pregnant as well. This woman's name was Pat. But this didn't matter none to Tina, and really, how could it? She wasn't Ike's woman. She was a side piece just like Pat was at this point. But to move on, word on the street is that what really changed Ike and Tina's relationship, as far as really pushing them together, is the fact that they recorded A Fool in Love, and this did not happen at all the way the movie portrayed. Gossip on the Street says that Ike didn't even want Tina to sing A Fool in Love. He actually had a male singer from the Kings of Rhythm who was supposed to sing that song, but when they got to the studio, for some reason he just wasn't there. So Tina told Ike, "Hey, let me just sing the song and use it as a placeholder, and he can dub his voice over mine later on." And so that is what Ike did, so they wouldn't waste studio time. Well, when Ike got the demo record with Tina's voice on it, he had let one of his friends hear it or something like that, and the friend was like, "Hey man, you should really release that song with her voice on it. It sounds good." Ike didn't want to do it because he said that women were not selling records at that time, and the friend was like, "Hey dude, I think this record will be a hit." So anyways, Ike puts the record out, and what do you know, the record becomes a hit. This is when things start moving quickly, because this record is all over the airwaves like static electricity. So now everybody is focusing in on these people singing this song. And because Ike is popping right now and he's trying to hurry up and get a show together, this is when Anna Mae Bullock officially becomes Tina Turner. This is when they become Ike and Tina Turner, and this is when the Kings of Rhythm become the Ike and Tina Review. But if you pay attention to the signs, this is not because Ike all of a sudden was like, oh, I want you so bad and all of this good stuff. It was not like that at all. It was simply like a business move. And quite frankly, this is the way Ike was seeing that. So the reason that he and Tina are even together this much is because of business in his eyes. But in Tina's heart, she feels like, okay, yes, we are officially a couple. He's officially my man. Regarding the music, Ike and Tina Turner Review is now a thing, and these people hit the road touring. It does not matter that Tina is pregnant. She is still on stage singing at every single venue. Baby, it's some gossip out here that says that one time Tina was 8 months pregnant singing. She jumped off of the stage 5 feet down into the crowd, just like putting on a show. And then when she was 9 months pregnant, they had a whole bunch of shows to do in Los Angeles, and Tina was up there, and she ended up going into labor. So they hired a lookalike Tina Turner, and that lady performed. Well, what Ike and Tina did not know is that this lady was a prostitute, and so after the show, she would be in her hotel room turning tricks. So Tina ends up giving birth to Ronnie, and the day after she gave birth to Ronnie, one of the Ikeettes called her and let her know, hey, I don't know this woman well, but whoever y'all got, she's turning tricks, and she's telling everybody she's you. Baby, they say that Tina left that doggone hospital that day, went and found that girl at the hotel room, and whooped that tricks behind, child. And yes, gossip says that Tina Turner was a fighter, very much so. Just like I told you on that rumor on the Tina Turner video, when she jumped on that woman that was in the audience and she was sitting up there blowing kisses and looking at Ike. Tina Turner jumped off the stage and was choking that woman, busting that woman all upside the head. Not only was Tina Turner out here whooping up folks, said that sometimes, baby, her and Ike would tag team. Baby, they say at one show, Tina was walking up the steps and it was this man that kept on trying to grab at her leg. She was like, you know, stop, telling the man to stop, and he would not stop. So Tina took the microphone and bust the man upside the head. Well, honey, they say the man ended up rearing back like he was finna either push her or like he was finna like grab her and jerk her down off the stage. Baby, they said the next thing anybody saw was Ike flying across that stage, honey, with his guitar up here, and said Ike went down and bust that man upside the head with that doggone guitar. And the dude's friends yanked Ike down and started beating up on Ike. Baby, they say Tina jumped off that doggone stage and she was whooping up them doggone grown men, honey. Then, child, it's gossip on the street said that at one time they were performing and the Black Panthers were upset with them because Tina and Ike had some white people in their entourage. So after Ike and Tina finished singing, it's claimed that Ike, Tina, and the band, everybody tried to sneak out of the side door. Well, as soon as Ike walks out of the door, the Panthers are there and they are like on him. And so immediately Tina sees this happening with her man. She jumps in and starts busting heads just like usual. Not only her, this time the whole band is out there brawling. But child, the folks say that it just was not in the cards for them this time, honey. Girl, they said that when them Black Panthers left, Ike was laid on the ground unconscious. Folks thought he was dead. And then Tina was rolling around on the ground as bald-headed as Grace Jones, baby. Honey said Ike was laying right here, Tina was laying in the middle, and Tina's wig was laying on the other side of the street. Ike and his folks got beat up so bad that 8 of them got put in the hospital. Listen to what the folks said they was doing when they went down south. Anytime Ike and Tina toured down south and they wanted to eat at a restaurant down south, that before they went inside of the restaurant, they would go to the telephone pole and they would cut the cord on the telephone pole. And then they would go inside of the restaurant, and if that restaurant said, sorry, whites only, we don't serve blacks here, said Tina step up and be like, oh, you ain't got to serve us, baby, because we gonna serve ourselves. And said the folks would be like, excuse me, what do you mean? And then they'll get up in their face like, what you gonna do? And so the folks would try to call the police, but the phone line was cut. And so she and the Ikeettes would go in the kitchen in the restaurant and they would whip up some food for the band. And after they were done cooking, they would wrap up their food and go and take it on the road and drive away before the police could even get there. Oh, and then listen to this. Y'all know how I just said like Tina and Ike got beat up by the Black Panthers. Well, baby, some folks out here saying they deserve that doggone beating because they said that Tina and Ike was doing some real shiesty stuff on the road. Cha said that they would be advertising their shows on the radio and saying like, you know, come on down to the show, we gonna give away a Cadillac. So everybody and their mama comes to these shows. Towards the end of the night, they would have the drawing and they would pick out a name and they would be like, so-and-so, you won a new Cadillac. And the person would come running down to the stage and Ike would give them the pink slip to the Cadillac. Baby, them folks to go to the car lot to pick up their car the next day and be mad as heck, honey, because the Cadillac is from the 16th century, child. Car so old that the grill looked like it's frowning, girl. And then sometimes the people would go to the car lot and pick up their car and the car would be a lemon. It wouldn't work at all. Woo, child. Now let's talk about this mess with Ike and Tina's so-called marriage, honey. Now, baby, the folks on these messy streets say that the marriage between Ike and Tina was fake as a $2 bill, child. Say the whole reason that Ike and Tina went to Tijuana, Mexico in the first place was to see a woman having sex with a donkey. You see, in celebrity circles, the biggest thing at the moment was this crazy, wild, wacky lady in Mexico that would have sex with a donkey in front of audiences. All of the celebrities all over were going to see it. So when Ike and Tina them found out, they wanted to go see it. And when they get there, gossip claims they go to a restaurant and they eat. While they are eating at this restaurant, supposedly this man comes by with a camera and he tells them, hey, you guys want to get married? Anybody want to get married? And so everybody at the table is like laughing and joking and they're like, yeah, marry us. We want to get married. And so the man takes a picture and he gives them a certificate that says just married. He also supposedly puts it in some sort of frame. Well, according to this gossip, that was the wedding. That was the marriage. And then it gets messier than that because it's claimed that in recent years, Tina has done a whole bunch of, after our wedding, after our marriage, Ike took me to a brothel. I can't believe this and all this kind of stuff. Well, baby, the folks say that, no, it wasn't no brothel he took her to. He took her to see the lady having with the donkey, which was the whole reason that they were in Mexico in the first place. Now, the folks say that right before this so-called wedding, Ike had bought a house in Los Angeles for he and Tina. And it's claimed that when Lorraine found out that Ike had bought this house and now him and Tina were supposedly married, she called Ike from St. Louis one day and was like, oh, so you over there got a new family, you know what I'm saying? You done bought a house and then you done married this effer? Well, I tell you what, the sons you got by me about to be out on the streets. I don't want them anymore. So I'm guessing this happened around the year 1962, 1963 maybe. Whenever it happened, now you have Ike and Tina, they have bought their house, they are now married, and now Ike's other 2 children are living with them. And now they are about to become a real little family of 4, or so this is what Tina thought. And see, now we're about to go into this deep dive to explain this relationship. Now this is important, y'all, so catch all of this.
And you guys will be catching it on part 2 of the Ike Turner Old Hollywood Scandal. And make sure y'all tune in for it, honey, because it will really explain what was truly going on with Ike and Tina, even down to their thought processes. So just stick around for it, guys. Love you. Bye.